sad that every single year we seem to have the same conversation. It's an annual tragedy, especially for pets, after being abandoned over the festive season. However, we need to remind you that abandoning your pet is not only illegal, but offenders can also be prosecuted as well. So what do we try and do if you are a pet owner but are finding it difficult to handle and you need to maybe take a vacation or get away for a few days? Keshvi Nair from the SPCA is the Public Relations Officer, National Council of SPCA, joining us. Hello, Keshvi, and you and I were talking off air. In fact, it was exactly a year ago today that you and I sat here and had the same conversation, and we have to have it yet again. Why do we always forget about our pets? They're not just a convenience that we can just leave behind, yet thousands of people are still doing it.
I think a lot of it has got to do with the fact that people don't really take into consideration that animals are sentient beings, and they're seen more of commodities as possessions. And so it's very easy for people to forget them. And that's why we have this conversation every single year.
Now, though, we need to talk about how difficult it's been for the SPCA. I didn't wish you Merry Christmas, by the way. I'm so rude. I was so angry about the pets. I didn't wish you Merry Christmas. How bad is the problem this year? I think during COVID, you and I also spoke round about this year. I think I'm going back 2020, I think it was. It was better because people couldn't go on holiday. Now we're back to square one, aren't we? How bad is it this time around?
Well, unfortunately, pet abandonment is a reality for many animals across South Africa. And the numbers would vary according to each society, but it is a harsh reality for animals across South Africa. And during this time, I think one of the biggest contributing factors is the fact that animals are given as presents for Christmas and for the holidays. And when the novelty wears off, that is where you see animals being abandoned. It's no longer fun to have this animal. Parents start to realize that, well, it's me who has to clean up after the puppy. It's me who has to clean up after the cat. And the novelty is worn off for the children. Children go back to school and the pet's not wanted anymore. And so that's where we see abandonment occurring. It's one of the factors that need to be considered.
And the saddest part of all of this, Keshvi, isn't it, that they often literally end up on your doorstep as well, because people don't quite know what to do in a case like that. But that doesn't really help your problem in the least. The SPCA already struggling to look after the animals they've got now. And come New Year's, as you say, once all the kids are back to school and we've all gone back to work, it's going to be even worse for you. What do you do? How can we help?
Well, if the pets are lucky, they end up on our doorstep. But most times they end up on the streets, which is very unfortunate. And there really is no excuse for pet abandonment, especially when you have societies and animal welfare shelters saying that we are willing to take these animals in. The SPCA will never turn away any animal that is brought to us. And with animal welfare shelters, they need to play their role when it comes to this issue as well. So if you are in a situation where you have an animal that you don't want anymore, the humane thing to do, the right thing to do would be to take the animal to your local SPCA or your local animal welfare shelter or state veterinarian. And if you are a person who wants to help the SPCA when it comes to this issue, the best thing that you could do, because each society, their needs would vary. Some societies need dog food, some societies need cat food, some societies need blankets. The best thing to do would be to contact the society directly and ask them what it is that they need, or give them a cash donation. And when it comes to the National Council of SPCAs, we travel across the entire country, not just one area. And so the best thing to do when it comes to the NSPCA would be to give us a cash donation.
And Keshvi, and I'm going to talk about what is desperately needed in just a moment, and how people may be able to adopt pets from the SPCA after December, because we also do see that happen as well, especially when the PR from your office comes out. People realize actually for the new year they can take on an animal and help with that. But I'll get there in a moment. I just want to make sure I ask this question about offenders that are being prosecuted. It's highly illegal as well. I don't think people realize that you can get arrested, and if it goes as far as animal abuse, you could end up in prison, can't you?
Definitely. So when it comes to abandonment, not only is it inhumane, and not only do you don't have an excuse for it, because we've said before that societies are willing to take in animals that are not wanted. It is also illegal in terms of the Animals Protection Act number 71 of 1962. And offenders, if you are charged, if you're found guilty, you face imprisonment, a fine, or both, as well as a criminal record. And you may also lose the right to own animals in the future. So it's very serious. And often when we deal with abandonment and we find that there are animal cruelty concerns as well. It's not just about leaving animals in the streets. It's also got to do with people who go away and leave their animals alone for extended periods of time. And they think that it's okay to just leave a bucket of water and a large bucket of food. And it's not enough. It's not enough. Anything could happen. What are you going to do if you're going away for 2 weeks and you've left just a bucket of food and a bucket of water, and the water gets toppled over? What are you going to do? What happens to that animal?
Yeah. I'm not by any means drawing comparisons, Keshvi, at all, but you almost feel like we should get to a point where, just like adopting a child, you need to go through qualification processes before you're allowed to adopt a pet as well. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to get that right in this country, because the issue now is, come the end of December, people are going to come back. Perhaps their animals are even missing because they've abandoned them for a couple of weeks, as you say. Now they're going to go running around to the SPCA. What happens if someone does get home, realizes that their pet is missing? Hopefully they're chipped. Hopefully a responsible neighbor's picked them up, brought them to the SPCA. Could someone get into trouble for their animal being abandoned during December and has run away as a result? Could the SPCA take action against them? I'm asking the question because somebody might be scared to come looking for their pet for fear of reprisal.
Well, it would depend. Each case is different, and we look at each case individually. How did the animal end up at the SPCA? What were the circumstances that the animal was found in? What is the animal's condition, et cetera, et cetera. So we deal with each case as it comes. And if it is evident that animal cruelty has occurred, we have no choice but to take action. We cannot let go of the fact that an animal has suffered. It doesn't work that way. The SPCA has a mandate, and that is to prevent animal cruelty and to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. So we deal with each case as it comes. We understand that, you know what, sometimes mistakes do happen. It happens with everybody. But if animal cruelty has occurred, we have no choice but to take action. That is just the way that the cookie crumbles.
And quite rightly, and so it should. I think the sentences and the punishments should be even harsher as well, because these animals can't speak for themselves. Keshvi, it's always wonderful talking to you. I wish one day it'll be under happier circumstances, but knowing your job, I doubt that to be the case. To you and everyone at the SPCA, I wish you a Merry Christmas as well. Thank you for working on Christmas. The SPCA's Public Relations Officer, it's Keshvi Nair. Now, obviously, they're looking for food, they're looking for blankets, anything that you can help. But don't forget as well, there are staff at SPCA offices as well. You never know, they might enjoy a bit of Christmas cake or maybe a bite to eat while they're still busy working. The rest of us are enjoying our Christmas.